are live. There you go. That's what it says. Good evening,
We're not,
everybody
are we?
who's watching live. Hey, oh, we are. We're live, man.
Are we? Ooh.
We're not. We're not dead at all. We're completely alive. Oh, here we go. Just a minute. It's not a phoning show, but someone's phoning in to me. Well, we ain't got nobody watching yet. That's
We're not.
no, nobody at all. It's pretty strange, man. Pretty strange. Let's have a look, see what it says on here. Anyway, there's two people watching us now. We're starting anyway. We're doing that thing where everyone does these people. They do this. Let's just wait for some people to come on, and then I'll start. Well, we're not going to do that.
No,
So
bollocks to that. Let's just do what we do.
yeah, let's do what we do, man. It's weird, isn't it? What sort of world have you come back to? I know you've been away for a month because you were sorely missed. I've got to tell you, particularly here. I did a couple of shows with Super Leads and stuff, and I'm telling you, it wasn't pleasant, and it didn't.
Well, I have heard Super Leads is described as some things, but pleasant was never one of them.
Yeah, it was okay. And we had what's his face on a Buemler.
Oh yeah,
Taylor came on once, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. So how was Thailand?
Yeah, Thailand was good. The thing that's sort of knocking it all at the minute, and I hate to use that fucking Brexit word, but because of all that shit that's going on, and the Thai exchange rate, I used to get 42, 43 baht to the pound. Now you get 37. And that's only in like 2.5, 3 years. Right. So the exchange rate is really taking a cripple, which may well played to my plans of, going to live out there, but we just had to wait and see. But have you noticed how now the exchange rate of the pound and the euro? I mean, I'm just going to Google it, actually.
Other search engines are available.
Well, yeah, whatever. It doesn't matter, does it? Actually, I'm not using... What am I using? I'm using Brave, which I would actually recommend to anybody, Brave. It's one of these browsers that basically doesn't do cookies and shit like that. It doesn't follow you around, and it doesn't, it doesn't bring pop-ups. So if you use Brave and then you use a, what do you call it? Come on, Adrian, what's the thing you think of? A VPN. Right. You can pretty much, browse without anybody knowing what you're doing. Not that I've got anything to hide, but why would that stop me being anonymous, I'm just going to convert 1 GBP to euros. Just doing this while we're on. 1.16. So the value of a euro and the value of a pound is getting closer and closer and closer all the time.
Yeah.
And I'm kind of having a thought that I can't remember where I heard or read this, but apparently all members of the EU in 2020 or 2021 will be forced to use the euro.
Yeah, I think it's next year, mate.
It is 2020, isn't it?
April next year.
Now, given what they're trying to do with not Brexit, because it doesn't matter what, even if it actually happens, it'll only happen in name, not in, it'll be so bloody thin that the changes will be negligible and all used against us. But the way I'm sort of thinking at the minute is, well, hang on a minute, if we kind of stay in the EU, well, that means we're going to have to be using the euro. Now, they were, they changed the £5 and the £10 note for the plastic ones. They were supposed to do the 20s in 2019, but then it was put off till 2021. And you kind of think to yourself, hang on a minute, we've got the pound and the euro getting closer and closer to be almost identical in value. And we've got Brexit that's never going to be Brexit, or if it is, it's just going to be in name only and not actually in anything that's substantial. And if it does remain, when we do actually stay technically in Europe, I mean, it's just a load of bollocks anyway, and it's difficult for me to even bloody talk about. But if we do that, and then we're going to have to start using euros. So,
Yeah, that's part of the Lisbon Treaty, I think, that comes
yeah, I
into
think
force
that's right. It was the Lisbon, yeah.
next
Lisbon,
year.
that's
Yeah,
what I was trying to think of. But yeah, Thailand was good. But as I say, all this kind of money exchange and all that shit's kind of, I don't know, got me not worried, but just it's maybe going to change my plans or maybe have to rethink or something. But we'll see. Who knows? It's the future, and I can do a lot of things, but I can't predict the future. But yeah, I had a great time, and it's great. This morning, my mate rang me 8 o'clock this morning. I was just getting out of bed, and it was on WhatsApp on video, and he was showing me that he's out on his boat in Thailand, and if I was there, I could have been there with him. And I'm thinking, oh shit, and I've got to go to work.
Mm.
So
it's always the case, isn't it? Always the case, mate. Well, it's the same when you send me WhatsApp videos, when you video call me or WhatsApp when you're away. Similar sort of thing.
Yeah, it always is, isn't it? But yeah. But a couple of other interesting things have happened today as well. I mean, I'm changing. In this phone, I've got 2 SIM cards, and there's one that I use for work and one from the personal calls, and it's just so I can keep them separate. But where I live, I mean, I'm just using giffgaff, but where I live, you don't get really good O2 coverage. But I like the kind of giffgaff thing, 10 quid a month. I hardly use any data because I don't do face shite or anything like that. So 10 quid a month is absolutely fine by me. So I've got 2 SIM cards in this, and it does its job, and it costs me not a lot of money. So anyway, I'm now changing over to PlusNet, but the only reason I'm doing it is because they use the EE network, which I know has got really good coverage where I live. But they do a similar thing like giffgaff, 10, 7 quid a month, whatever, unlimited calls. So now I've got, at the moment, hang on a minute, I don't know if I can unplug these. I've got these 2 phones with me, with my new SIM cards in, which are going to get transferred over onto this one that's got 2 SIM cards in it tomorrow. Or is it the other way? So at the minute, I'm kind of, here we go. I'm juggling phones at the minute, which is a bit of a pest. But I was on the phone tonight from the guy from PlusNet. When they're like going through and they're doing, give us your pack code from your other thing. This guy was really interesting, and we got chatting, and I must have been on the phone to him about 40 minutes. And he was clearly into UFOs and all the rest of it. And he gave me some really interesting stuff to look at, which I'm going to do. And I'm just trying to see if I can find what he'd said. TTSA in the US Army or something. And they're now sort of admitting a lot of the UFO stuff, not only the sightings and that, but mainly the technology that they've been able to reverse engineer and stuff like that. And he was well into all this stuff. So anyway, I told him about Raconteurs news. So Russell, if you're listening, mate, just drop us a thingy or whatever in the chatty thing, and we'll say hello. But yeah, really interesting guy. Really, really interesting guy.
Excellent. Talking about UFOs as well. That's something you don't normally talk about, is it?
Well, yeah. I mean, I kind of, you can't deny that there's, unidentified things out there, but whether or not they came from somewhere else, or whether it's technology that's from this planet, or are we even on a planet? I don't know. I haven't been up there to have a look. But I've got an open mind, and when people say, "Would you describe yourself as a conspiracy theorist?" No, I'd describe myself as a bloke who's got an open mind. But until somebody can absolutely prove something, it's like I've said before, I can prove about money. We can prove that mortgages are not real and it's all a big con and yada, yada, yada. Can prove all that shit. It's the other stuff that we can't prove that's kind of open for discussion, I guess.
Yeah, well, that's what it's all about, isn't it? There's a whole industry surrounding it, UFOs. In fact, there's a whole industry surrounding everything. I mean, we look at 5G. and the oil industry around here and fracking and the oil industry around here around fracking. You know, Ian Crane and
Yeah,
um,
yeah, absolutely.
doing his thing and 5G. It seems to be. It's Ron says he does the Brave and VPN. So there you
Oh,
go.
good, yeah.
Yeah. So it's fucking. I'm just. I just can't. I can't comprehend what's going on around me. It's like a. I'm stuck in this house most of the time. I don't get out. I have nurses that come visit me at day. Most of the time, it's just me and Watson, and
Yeah.
so generally tend. I wouldn't even know what we're going on with Brexit now. I don't even know. All I can fucking say is they should have called it Brocket now instead of Brexit. It's fucking Brocket now. They've broke the cunt.
Yeah.
So they've done everything they can. I don't give a fuck what they're fucking doing. Then you've got these fucking lunatics running around dressed like fucking dragon fairies and fucking dancing around and you know, solving climate change, a thing that doesn't exist.
Yeah.
Yes, you have solved climate change by doing that because it didn't exist in fucking first place, you fucking melt. Have a day off.
I think nobody actually thinks. Sorry, nobody. That's a terrible thing to say, isn't it? The people who watch the news and the people who are inevitably on it actually still believe this shit that is pumped out on the telly.
Yeah, of course they do. But what source of information have they got? What have they got access to? I know they've got access to people like us and other people that do independent stuff and don't put up with all the bullshit and talk out our asses about stuff. Well, we probably do talk out our asses, but
you see, I'm sort of more inclined to think, you know, when people talk about mainstream media and whatever, more and more and more, what we've come to call alternative is now the media. And you might, I mean, even face shit, and Instagram and all that crap. It's more media and there's more real stuff on it than there is on that BBC shit. There's, you know, but like you, I don't even know what's happening with this Brexit bollocks because it's all bollocks and it don't matter. And when I say it don't matter, I mean that the whole political process is it's just a pantomime, and it's there to make people believe that they've actually got some kind of choice, and you don't.
If we're talking about now, we're 3 years down the line from when we voted to leave the European Union, and I had a look back and I thought to myself, I wonder how long it took from the referendum to actually getting into, you know, the common market. How long it took, and do you know how long it took? Minus 2 years, because they were already in. They were already in. And they fucking had the referendum. They were already in 72, and then they had the referendum in 74. So they were already in.
Yeah, Ted Heath signed the Treaty of Rome, didn't he? In 72. And what was the other thing that happened? Oh, yeah, Concord. That was it. They got Harold Wilson, who was then they ended up with Ted Heath, and basically we'd applied. Didn't we try to get into Europe in the mid-late 60s, but the French said no, and then in the early 70s, 72, 73, Treaty of Rome was signed in 73. But the reason they allowed us in is because we agreed to part fund Concord, which is what the French wanted to do, and that was the big lever the French had got, saying, yeah, you can come into Europe. We won't vote against you this time, but you're going to fund Concord.
Interesting stuff.
And that's what they did. And I'm sure it was Harold Wilson, but then Teddy took over from him, didn't he? Not that there's anything perverse there to see about Ted Heath, really, is there? Really, you know, the fact that he was a kiddie shagger.
No. Well, fucking hell.
You know, and used to have people murdered on his boat.
I got a warning from Facebook.
You did?
I did, I got a warning from Facebook about a comment that I made. The thing is with Facebook, with me, the first time they said to me, "That's it, you're banned for a sort. That's it, I'm coming off."
Yeah.
It's the first time that they said that. I said I'm going to come off, but I had a warning. Now, I can't remember who it were about, but it were about somebody in Truth Movement. I think it in the Truth Movement, Truther. And I can't remember where. I think it were either Garrett or Crane or fucking Steele, and somebody had put an I wrote underneath about one of them that the best thing that could have happened is that they should have been a fucking abandoned wank, right? And I got caught. They told me that's very naughty. You're not allowed to say that. It's outside our standards. An abandoned wank, man. For fuck's sake.
Fuck your standards.
Yeah. My standards are a little bit. My standards are a little bit lower, obviously.
Broader.
Yeah. Ron said that he left Facebook back in 2014. I don't blame you. I mean, it's very rare I post anything on it now. And if I do, it's usually just some crap and nobody ever sees it.
I got a thing through the other day and it said it's this app and it's supposed to be something like Facebook, but without Big Brother watching. I forget what it was called. Maybe somebody else has had it as well. I don't know. I can't
There's a few knocking about these social networks that
something begin with F, Foof or something. Oh, I don't know.
Foof? No, I've never heard of that one. I've heard of like MeWe and somewhere else, some other ones.
I can't remember. To
be fair, I think I'm fucking done with social media anyway. It's just a big pile of wank.
It is, yeah. And the shame is that instead of people taking a picture of what they're about to eat and sharing it, if they actually open the fucking head and realise what the whole thing was, it could actually be used for something quite good, but
Well, it could be if it were left uninhibited, but it's not. Yeah. It's censored. Yeah. Everything's censored, and there's this shadow banning going on, and that nobody. I mean, you know how funny I am. I'm right funny, and if I think of something funny, I'll put it on Facebook. I just don't bother anymore because I just don't get any response. It's because nobody sees it. Nobody.
And if anybody thinks that Zuckerberg's really in charge of that, fucking you're having a laugh, are you?
Fucking Zuckerberg. Hey, it's you can see on. I think Facebook is humanity at its worst.
Yes, I'd agree with that. I would agree with
humanity
that.
At its worst. It's just.
Okay,
I'm gonna window. I've got race sweat on me.
It's just the armpits of the world, isn't it? It is. There's. There was another thing I wanted to sort of bring up as well today. I can't think what the hell it was. It's got to be about something it's something that really sprung into mind. And because earlier when you sent me a message and said, "Shall we, do an hour?"
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Because I want to talk about that, and I want to talk about that, and I want to talk about that. It was the. I can't remember. Oh, did I tell you? Listen, if I have, I might have done. When I went out on the flight out to Thailand, the guy who was, I had the usual shit, getting the scanner. No, I'm not getting in your scanner. And the guy said, look, it's safe because I stand here all day. And I went, well, yeah, but so were cigarettes in 1960. I'm not getting in your scanner. Oh, well, we'll need to do a pat down in a private room. You can do a pat down here if you want. No, we need to go to a private room. And then when he said to me, but these microwaves, they don't penetrate the skin. And when I said to him, so how do they scan you then? He went, what? I said, how do they scan you then? What do you mean? If they don't penetrate your skin, how do they scan you? I'm no expert, but how do they scan you? What? Well, I never thought of that. I said, no, and you stand next to that all day, don't you? Because somebody showed you a piece of paper that said it was all right. That was the other thing I wanted to say. While I was on the phone to PlusNet, the chap that I was talking to, really nice guy, he'd lived a similar sort of thing to me. He'd been in bands. He'd worked in radio. He actually trained as a journalist. got fully qualified as a journalist and lasted 3 months when he realised that actually being a journalist doesn't mean that you tell the truth.
Yeah.
He said, I naively believed that. And,
You can just carry on. I'm just going to let my dog out because he's been a knobhead.
okay.
Come on, you carry on.
Yeah, I will. So anyway, he was there talking to me, and he said he'd got a friend who worked at Manchester Airport. And what had happened was, I can't remember, Jason may be able to remember this, when the shoe bomber, I can't remember the guy's name, the guy who allegedly had a bomb in his shoe. And it was all to do with liquids mixing and all the rest of it. I vaguely remember it, but I don't know. I don't remember when it was. Jason,
say that again.
The shoe bomber. Do you remember when it was?
Yeah, it were not long after 9/11. The guy was called Richard Reed.
That's it, Richard Reed. Anyway, this chap that I was talking to today, who was into the UFO stuff and all the rest of it, he got a friend who worked at. He was a Scouser. This kid lived on the Wirral. Well, actually, that's technically not a Scouser, is it? But anyway, now lives on the Wirral, which is where it's where all the posh Scousers live. Anyway, he got a mate who was working at Manchester Airport in the doing all the technical stuff. Jason, what have you done to your camera?
I'm just trying to find some on my desk. Go on, I'm just moving my laptop.
So anyway, this guy, because he was doing all wiring and stuff, had got a security pass to do airside and non-airside in an airport. And for anybody who's ever been through an airport, you know what I mean. Anyway, as he was doing all this, he said, what's that crated up in this room? Is it something that we're wiring in? And the message came back, oh, no, not yet. No, not yet. No. Well, what is it? Well, it's a body scanner. Oh, are they having them in airports then? Well, yeah, they must be. 3 weeks later, the shoe bomber happens.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, so these scanners were already bought, paid for, ordered, mothballed, crated, shipped, and in Manchester Airport waiting to be installed at least 3 weeks before the fucking incident even happened, or allegedly happened.
Right. Yeah. So Pepper, that's the key. That's when you can see in it. It's when they come out with a solution, right? Just very at the right time.
Yeah.
And they did it with Patriot Act. We were talking about it to Vinny Eastwood, weren't we?
That's right. Yeah, when Vinny Eastwood was on. Yeah.
After 9/11, they got that like 20,000 page document. They got it already, like in a month. And people then had, I think they had a month to read it, and then it was getting voted on. So nobody had a chance to read it.
And then we get 650 people who work in Westminster who can't even get us out of fucking Europe 3.5 years after we all said we want out.
Well, they can, but they don't want to.
Of course they don't.
Fucking.
And people think this is, I'm mad. The other thing as well, I've got to say something. When we look at anything, my view now, and it wasn't always like this, is who benefits. And it doesn't matter who or what that I'm watching, listening, reading, whatever. I'm never going to agree with everything that people say or I read about them or any subject. I might agree less or more the more educated I become. And when we talk about David Icke, a lot of what he says, the majority of what he says even, I think actually, that's got a lot of credibility. I can see why that is what it is, etc. If you get somebody who doesn't think the way that we do, and as soon as you mention Icke, straight away they think lizard, click onto something, and then they hear him talking about lizards. and it's almost like his credibility's gone before they've even. If he kept away from all that and talked about the stuff that actually affects people today,
I think he does. To be fair, now he does, doesn't it? I mean,
he does. But I think,
and I think a lot of the lizard thing is also metaphorical as well.
yeah. I completely agree. Completely agree. But if you get some, even when he's on about the moon being a repeater station for the things that have been transmitted from Saturn, and I'm mega paraphrasing, and I may have got that wrong, but
Right.
that's kind of what the gist of when he's talking about that. That's what I got anyway. That's how it's in my head. But even that is so far away, and I think sometimes he loses, or he could lose, a big chunk of audience that would otherwise listen to what the guy's got to say. And as I say, a massive percentage of what he says, I'm in. I'm absolutely there. But the one thing that I've got that's bugging me at the minute is he's got this new platform, which is called, apparently, Iconic.
Iconic, yeah.
Now, if I was going to do a video platform, whether it was free, charged for, or whatever, I wouldn't call it Adonic. Or I wouldn't call it Hardionic.
Oh, hey, what you call Raconteursonic.
Yeah. Because, it's a bit kind of fucking anal, in it, really. I'd call it something. It doesn't matter what it's called. Just don't fucking name it after yourself, because it's a bit, Anyway, look, whatever. But the big issue that I've got is, if this platform that he's got,
right,
he says he's setting it up because of all the censorship on places like YouTube, which we know happens. Fucking hell. And I mean, we were talking about that with Vinny last week, weren't we? Videos that, all of a sudden the amount of views they've got gets cut in half.
Yeah.
Right, okay. I've been unsubscribed from lots of things and had to subscribe again. So we know all that shit goes on and the algorithms do it, etc., etc. So maybe we do need another platform. Whether or not this thing that Dave Icke's come up with is the right thing or not, I don't know. But what I do know is, if he would do, and Dave, I don't suppose you're listening to this because we're just small fry, but I keep putting comments on his YouTube channel saying, all this is very interesting, but please tell us what happened to the people's voice. Because a lot of people put a lot of money and time and effort into supporting that, and it never happened. And I'm not suggesting there was anything wrong with what happened with money or whatever. I'm not suggesting anybody stole anything, nothing like that. But if this new platform that he's got is what we need to replace something like YouTube, somewhere where it will be free, and I don't mean free as in no money, I mean free to say and do what you want on it without censorship, then me and probably a lot of other people would be more comfortable with it if you told us what the fuck happened to the people's voice. And actually,
you're talking about this, but you come from it. Let's just. I'm not saying for a second that it were anything like this, but you were somebody who donated, weren't you?
Yeah, I mean, I chucked 50 quid in, which isn't the end of the world.
No, of course it's not. But it's 50 quid.
I've put a lot more money into something else that's lost me other money. But I'm always open-minded, and if this new platform is gonna be what we need to replace YouTube, and fucking hell, God knows we need something because of the censorship that's happening.
Mm-hmm.
Then if it's gonna be, then Dave, please, sorry, David, Mr. Ike, whatever you want to be called, I've never met you, don't know. Please come on and tell us what happened to the people's voice, and be honest with us and tell us what happened. Because that way you might get a lot of people who are skeptical about this new platform who actually go, yeah, all right, we get it. But there must be other people who are thinking like me and thinking, well, all right, you want us to support this new thing, but what about the fucking last one? We know it was about 3 or 4 years ago, 5 years ago, whatever it was. But for fuck's sake, sit there, do a video. You do enough videos, do one. Doesn't matter whether it's a minute long or 10 minutes long or an hour long, it doesn't matter. But just come on and tell us, honestly, what happened to the people's voice. That's all I want to know. What happened? Because then I could think to myself, am I now going to support this new platform? Because anything that gets all this information that's in here and in Jason's head and, you know, in all these other people's heads, anything that gets it out there for people to make their own decision on is good. You know, it's got to be. So, but
you need all information. You need all
come on and tell us, for fuck's sake. There must be other people who are thinking.
Have you looked anywhere though? I know you want this answer, but have you looked anywhere to see whether there's anywhere where he's explained what happened? Because I can't believe that there wasn't an interview that he's given where he's not been asked that question. So
I've not seen it.
Right. And if anybody in the chat room has seen a video like that, then just pop it in, just to let us know. I understand where you're coming from, Eddie. I just need us to not, not start bandying about.
Yeah, if I had an involvement in something like the People's Voice that had not happened the way I'd hoped, and then a few years later I came up with an idea for a new platform that I also wanted other people to get involved with, and probably a lot of the same people that were interested in the one before, I would be sat there up front going, right, this is what happened to the last one. We learned from that. We had this people involved and that people involved, etc., etc. This time we've not done that. We're doing it all in-house. Because of technology, it means we can now do this, and it's not going to cost that, and we don't need this, and we are going to... And I would be actually sat down bragging about it and saying, this is why it's different, and this is why this one will work. But he's not doing that. And I think it's a shame. And I'm not suggesting any wrongdoing. I'm just saying, if he came out and just stood and was dead up front and said, this is what happened, I could then get past that. But at the moment, I can't. I can't at the moment. And yet, every day, when my YouTube thing goes, bling, Dave Icke's put a new thing up, I go, all right, okay, I'll watch that. And I don't think there's anything that Dave Icke's put up in the past 2 or 3 years that I've not watched.
Right. Yeah,
I'm not saying I agree with everything.
But donated, so you deserve answers, and if you're not happy with the answers when you get them, or if you seek them out and find them, you're not happy with the answers, then you know that it's not for you to be donating and supporting this other.
I mean, I hope that it is this new platform that does do away with YouTube, you know, so that somebody other than Google and it, and it just is, isn't it? Actually supports us as a platform where people can speak freely. Because at the end of the day, that's what we don't have anymore. We don't have free speech.
No.
You know, otherwise you'd still be able to tell jokes about blacks, Irish, you know, whites. And for me, comedy should be allowed to be about anything.
Oh yeah, of course. Listen, I've been just watch old Bullseyes.
The
stuff that he says, you never get away with these days. Never in a million years.
Even how Jim Bowen addresses women.
To
them. And they're very much, it's good to see some women playing. You'll never be as good as the blokes, but it's good to see you here. You know, almost like a cringeworthy, condescending, and he weren't. He was just a northern bloke, weren't he? Who lived in that generation.
Well, I was thinking to myself, I was going to because I said to our lass, I'm going to complain about. I'm going to write to Central Television, who I think did it at the time. I'm going to complain. Oh, by the way, Central Television, which is where he were fucking big cheese, weren't he, David Cameron?
That's right. Well,
Central Television. So I was thinking about doing is writing to Central Television and complaining about Jim Bowen. And then Danielle just said to me, well, he's dead. He died last year. And I said, well, I'll predate it then. So it's like 2016, and then he'll get to read it, won't it? And I was just thinking about I was thinking about the headlines. Jim Bowen's ghost comes back and makes apology for sexism and racist jokes during the 1980s.
Hey, look, I've got to ask you about something. I've got to ask you. Why is it Rubber Johnny Holmes tonight?
Well, Rubber Johnny's the word of the day. It's the phrase of the day.
Oh, is it?
I just found myself laughing this morning. I was just thinking to myself, sometimes you get a word or a phrase in your head, and the more and more you go over it in your head, the more ridiculous and funny that it gets, and it makes me laugh. It makes me sound laugh. Look, I'm sorry, it's better than funeral plans adverts and fucking
over 50s.
Yeah, and that kid that needs his eyes cleaning in Africa or somewhere. So I do that, and it makes me laugh. It made me laugh today for no reason. I'm just sat on the fucking settee. It might have been something to do with the joint that I'd had, but I was just sat on the settee, and I'm just thinking, Rubber Johnny. Oh my God, why does it not exist anymore? These things that don't exist anymore. Rubber Johnny to somebody, a kid these days. Not someone, a kid. I mean, a fucking youth, someone who's 19, 20. They don't know what we're talking about.
No, I can actually remember going to the barbers with my dad when I was a kid, and the barber actually, and this is a proper old barber, right? And the barber actually saying to him, "Something for the weekend, sir?"
Yeah.
Did you want to buy a packet of 3? Fucking hell. 3 Johnnies in a weekend? Fucking hell. My dad were married. Is he having a laugh?
Fucking hell.
Because they found... Did you know they found food that stops women liking sex?
Oh,
yeah, it's called wedding cake.
Yeah, I suppose so, yeah.
My ex-wife, she used to say to me, and my ex-wife used to say, does my bum look big in this? And my reply was always, darling, your bum would look big in the fucking dark.
And then you wonder why you're having to go to Thailand every fucking 2 months. Let's say hello to some people in chat room. Super Leeds is in there. Good to see you, Super Leeds. It's Wednesday against Leeds on Saturday, by the way.
Is it one of them?
Oh, yes. So
I've got to say, listen, for all the Steelers fans at the moment, Sheffield Steelers ice hockey team, that are all going, think it's wonderful that the Sheffield Steelers are the top of the league. Listen, there's nobody likes to see the Steelers win more than me. I go to every home game and some away games, right? Well, that's when I'm not in Thailand anyway.
Right.
And the reason that we're top of the league at the minute, I don't fucking skate out there. The reason that the Sheffield Steelers are top of the league is because we've played more games than anybody else. So, when the other teams have played as many games as we have, and they're going to catch up in the next 2 or 3 weeks, that's when you can either celebrate or not. But not when we've played 10 games and some teams have only played 7.
Any Sheffield Steelers fans out there? Oh, God, Jesus Christ. Webby's in there as well. He's in chat room as well. And he says Cameron's TV company bought the company that ran the Cup Report and suppressed
That's right. God, that is a memory coming back. Bloody hell, yeah. And I wouldn't have remembered that, but he's right.
Yeah, he is, yeah.
Yeah, dead right. I wouldn't have remembered that.
I remember seeing that fucking many times. It's been referred to in loads of different documentaries on it and stuff. So, Mahatma Malevolence says, super smashing, lovely, great. Super smashing, lovely, great. Jim Bowen, what a fucking guy, though. I mean, Jesus Christ, he was telling anti-Semitic jokes. He was telling fucking racist jokes, It was 4 coloured lads. They called the ink spots. Honestly, it was just fucking... He came out and said something about. He came out and he said on show and said at the beginning and said somebody had put a pic. It was his birthday, and he shared his birthday with somebody, and it had been in paper. You know, one of them. It's their birthday.
Oh
thing.
yeah.
And it had Jim Bowen and this other this guy who were an Indian cricketer, right? And so he says, but they've got the names mixed up. So they put Jim Bowen under the cricketer's face and whatever the cricketer's name under Jim Bowen's face. And so he says, so now I'm going to have to do the rest of the show like this. Good evening and welcome to Bullseye. Honestly, I thought, my God, you're going like these libtards would be going, oh my God, what do we do? What do I fucking do? I'm telling you, get off. If you've got some fucking weirdo, tell them to watch a bit of Bullseye. It'll fucking trigger people like nobody's business. It is absolutely, what you say as well, because we were like so condescending towards women as well.
Yeah.
Not much for a lady. Go on then, take your time, hurry up. You know, that sort of fucking thing. It's just a crazy, crazy world. Society of the Spectacles in. Dan Harris is in. Super Leeds. Mahatma Malevolence. Midnight Gardener. Good evening, Midnight Gardener. He says, put that I could get put onto a register for mentioning jonnies to kids, Jason. I get put on a sex register, but if a teacher tells them that they can use the penis and shove it up another one's arse, another boy's arse, and that's a thing, and that's okay. They can show them, they can tell them you can be a fucking woman, you can be a frog, you can be there's 100 genders. You can be whatever you want. Yeah, but if I said to a kid, and I mentioned rubber jonnies to a kid, you're right, I'd be on a list. And that's what should be happening to these teachers if they do it. But it's not going to, because that's the
part of the curriculum.
Yeah, Webby put, you want to see the Liberals' reaction to Mind Your Language. If you remember that, I do remember that. I do. It were an English class, weren't it, for people that were foreign, and it had all sorts of different people. And it was sitcom, weren't it? Yeah.
What I remember off of that, that was it. He got the guy who was genuinely trying to teach him English, and then this guy, he said, I can't remember, because he got an Italian, a French, Scandinavian, Indian, they got all sorts of people all supposedly going to learn English. And he said, right, what we'll do, we'll have a debate. And they were debating this subject, and at the end of it, this guy said, so I rest my bag. And the teacher said, don't you mean I rest my case? And he said, okay, I rest my bag and my case. and that was on that program. That was on that program.
Well, it's quite good. Well, I can't remember it. I've seen clips of it, and it's stuff that they just won't get away with these days. But if you watch the old stuff, there's a lot of stuff that you wouldn't think that they wouldn't get away with.
But then again, what is it I saw the other day? It's in somebody's bloody house. One of these programs where they're getting kids to be fucking drag queens. What the fuck is that all about? You can't have a bloke on. I mean, can you remember that Love Thy Neighbour? And he used to talk about that nignog that lives next door.
Yeah.
Right. And bloody nignogs that live next door. So we can't put that on TV anymore. And oh my God, you can't mention that. Well, you can't say the word nignog. Nig. Well, you can't say that. But yet they can put a fucking program on the telly with 9 and 10-year-old boys dressing up as fucking drag queens. What the fuck?
Exactly.
And teachers being able to tell them, well, there aren't just men and women anymore. Well, I mean, there's always been men, women, and then hermaphrodite.
Yeah.
And that's a real thing.
Yeah, I know. I've seen him. I've seen porn films with him in.
Yeah. But all of a sudden, we've got all these different fucking things that you can be. Hang on a minute. And they've even got doctors who have refused to accept that there are only two genders. You know, and it said, no, there are just two genders. Medically, there are two and they've been fucking kicked off. Lost the job and everything because they won't admit that there are more than two genders. Well, hang on. No, medically, there are two genders. That's what there are. But because they're so... The system is so hell-bent on everybody being put into a little tiny box and given a label that you can be this label. It's just another way of dividing and conquering. And that's all it is.
Well, I think I probably might get arrested for this, but I had a bit of a racist dream last night. I did. You
didn't dream that you got a 14-inch black knob, did you?
No. Listen, I dreamt that I was in Japan on holiday, right? And I had to go and see a doctor, and the doctor spoke perfect English, right? But the problem was with my Jap's eye. So I couldn't describe to him. I didn't want to describe to him and say it's my Jap's eye because he could speak perfect English and he'd know what. But I didn't know medical name for it. So I'm there and I'm trying to avoid this doctor who's asking me what's wrong with me because I can't say to him, "Oh, it's my Jap's eye. I've got something wrong with my Jap's eye." So a racist dream. I'll probably get done for that. They'll be knocking on the door tomorrow, won't they?
Yeah.
Mr. Holmes, yes, we hear you had a racist dream last night. Yes, I cannot tell lies, officer. I certainly did.
I'm actually half expecting, I don't know what's going to come of this, but I've told you many times about my thing with the electoral register. I think probably in the past few months, they've committed mail fraud at least 6 or 8 times because they keep sending me, or actually they keep getting the postman to post a letter through my door that hasn't got a proper name on it. It comes to the occupier, and as I've said many times, I'm not an occupier.
You're not Israel for a start, are you?
Yeah, I'm not an occupier. And mail fraud, it's got to have 3 things. It's got to be properly named, properly addressed, and if it's for business, it must have a return address that's not a PO box, that's actually a physical building that you can walk into. So each time the people from the electoral register write to this address, it's got this address on it. Derbyshire Council do actually put on a proper bricks and mortar return address on the outside of the envelope, but they still address it to the occupier. So I just keep sending it back. So they keep committing mail fraud. Anyway, was it last Saturday? I was expecting a parcel. I think we said this last week. I was expecting this parcel, knocked on the door, opened the door expecting Amazon bloke to be stood there, and it was this woman. "Hello, I'm from Derbyshire Council." Oh, fucking hell.
All right, yeah.
What do you want? Well, you need to fill this in. Look, I'm not filling it in. Can I leave the... And instead of saying to her, read the notice on the door and then decide for yourself, because it's you I'm going to come for, I didn't do any of that shit. I just went, "No, look, I'm not filling your form in. Goodbye." And I just shut the door. I couldn't be arsed. 3 days later, I get another one through the post. Right? So I opened it this time. I got out their return address letter envelope, right? And it must be important because it's second class, not. Right? And I just wrote all the way across my address, "Fuck off." And I put it in the envelope and I posted it. So I'm actually just wondering what's now going to happen. I mean, I don't really give a shit, but I'm just wondering whether they actually do take absolute offence to that and see what happens next.
Yeah.
But I have a good mind just to write to them and say, "Look, you keep committing mail fraud. If you do it again, I'm going to take you to court for it and just see what happens."
You to the police, whatever fucking good.
Well, I mean, whatever, anything to cause them some shit, really. But I'm not filling your fucking form in to piss off.
Yeah.
But I actually wrote on it, "Fuck off," and posted it. So, but we'll see. We'll see. We'll see.
Yeah, but the wankers, aren't they? They just they can't get anywhere. You just keep doing that. Keep blanking them when they come to the door. You've got no reason. You've got no. You're not obliged to speak to them, are you? You're not obliged to speak to anybody at your door.
Oh, I know the other one I meant to tell you.
Go on.
One of my, you know, my TV licensing letters. I've lost count of how many people I've done it for, but the standard letter you used to get back basically said, "Okay, we won't contact you again." Now, this letter they send back, you know, on the bottom of my letters it says, "Any further contact will be deemed as harassment and charged appropriately at £4,950 per event. So fuck off, basically." It now says on the bottom of the letter they send back, "No invoice will be accepted as no contract exists between us." So them trying to bat away a potential invoice from us has got them admitting that there's no fucking contract between us. Result.
Fucking marvelous. Yeah, dear me. You've got to get them, man. You've got to get them, haven't you? What else were they were? They were some stuff. Oh God. Yeah. Oh yeah. Let me just find it. Get down. Go on. Good boy. Come on. Just come on. Get down, dude. Oh, good boy. There you go. Sorry, I had Super Leeds asked to see Watson, so I got him up on my knee.
Okay.
There you go, Super Leeds. I hope I hope that satisfied your need for a look at the little dog. Little dog. There was something else. I've got stuff written down everywhere, and I just keep not remembering them. Brian Harvey. Have you been watching what's going on with him?
No, not at
on
all.
YouTube. It's fucking. I don't know what he's playing at, but he's having people sent round to house, coppers and that, because they're saying he's going to top himself on YouTube and YouTube
But
Live.
that going on months ago?
Eh?
Weren't that going on months ago?
He's just posting this stuff. He posted one yesterday, I think, where he were at benefits office and he's kicking up a rate stink at him. I don't know what it's all about, but fucking hell, it's certainly interesting to watch. Get down, you little git. Fucking table. He's on table.
We've got a wipe for that. We've got a wipe for that.
I've got a box of stuff that's been brought today from, to dress my wound.
Oh, yeah.
So, and he's fucking got his head in that.
Come on then, tell us about your wound. Update everybody with what's happening, mate.
Well, it's we're waiting for it to heal up, and then we're going to decide what we can do, if there's what we can do to try and revasculate the foot. I don't think it's going to happen. I think what's going to happen is I'm going to end up with an amputation, but hopefully this time it will be a below knee amputation. But he's a bit reluctant to do that because he thinks it might not heal up very quickly. And they won't take my toe off because that won't heal up either. So they're going to try and see if they can do it to revasculate my foot. And if they can't, then it's going to be. I'm not going to have any. I'm going to have no need for shoes, shall we say?
I'm just going to say, what the fuck am I going to buy for Christmas if I can't buy you slippers?
Yeah. So I had some good news regarding the stuff that needs to be done to house. That they've looked at it and gone to a manager and tried to, and anyway, the funding's been approved, so we're going to be putting a lift in, a wet room, and a
wet room. Does that mean we can have piss parties?
No, we can do that anyway, whenever you want. Bagsy's not pissing on me.
No. Don't even put that thought in my head. Fucking
Oh,
hell.
that's that's rotten, isn't it? It's
Oh
rotten.
no, it's not good,
Especially
is
after
it?
what I've just seen before we went live on air.
Yeah. Mind you, will we live on here? I don't know. Anyway, yeah. So what we what we want is just for everybody to just be able to live a peaceful and happy life. But sadly, there's a small bunch of people who want us all to be answerable and beholden to them. And what we've got to do is tell everybody how to not do that. That's what we've got to do. And it's not because I'm a twat, it's because I actually believe seriously that this world belongs to everybody and not just the chosen few. So when I'm talking about, disrupting TV licensing and yada, 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 and all the other stuff that we all do, it's for a bloody good reason. And that's because people who work in the system are the ones who are guilty, who are going to have to be answerable to their grandkids. And I can absolutely hold my head up and say that my grandkids, as they get older, are going to know what's going on. They are going to know. My brother's kids and my brother's grandkids are going to say, Granddad, when this fascist state was coming in, what were you doing? And he's going to say, I was wearing a uniform and I was a policeman and I was helping it come in. So, sorry, but having a mortgage to pay isn't a good enough excuse anymore. It's not. Because there's enough information out there. Fucking hell, if I can work it out, anybody can work it out. I'm no master brain box. I'm just a bloke who's got an open mind. Well, now I have. I didn't used to have. And it's like, what's his name from Australia? He used to say, you don't talk to anymore. What do you call him? He used to be really entertaining and funny when he came on.
Rob Alford.
Yeah, Rob.
Yeah.
We're in an information, an absolute abundance of information that's available. But that doesn't mean that people are looking at it. And because people are more interested in looking at a fucking cat falling off a table on YouTube than they are in actually watching something or listening to something that could actually give them some education about what's really going on in the world.
I don't know what's going on in our chat room, never mind fucking world. Webby put, and I think I must be a bit slow. But he's Webby put. What did Webby put first? Let me scroll the cunt up. A small group of people wear small hats. There you go. I think I know what he means now. Yeah. Then somebody said racism. He put hat racism, new one, but no doubt valid. Yeah, I get what you're saying, Webby. Yeah. Them little fucking. He's talking about them little soppy hats that Jewish people wear.
Oh yeah. Just enough to cover my bald patch. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the one. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's So I think that's what he's getting at.
Well, yeah. I mean, what is it? Something is it about? It's a very, very small percentage of people on the planet that are actually Jewish. I mean, proper Jewish.
Yeah,
proper Jewish. And I have to say, I have shared many a table and broken bread with many, many Jewish families, and they are lovely people.
Lovely.
They're not
lovely. Super smashing great.
Super smashing great. They're not the ones who were trying to rule the fucking world. The Jewish people are actually the ones who have had their fucking identity stolen, and this anti-Semitic word turned completely upside down to what it actually means, so that the mass media manipulated sheep believe that anti-Semitic means horrible to Jews, when the whole fucking thing is just so that nobody can criticize Israel. I mean, we've got our government and the American government suddenly decide that they're the ones who've got to police the world, and they're the ones who've got to send in the troops to stop bad things happening. Like, what the fuck's it got to do with us? It's a foreign country. When you look at what actually goes on in Israel, shouldn't there be starting a war in Israel to stop that regime because of all the nasty things they do? So why are they not doing that?
Well, you know why they're not doing that? Because they're all called fucking Kissinger and fucking Goldstein and Weinstein and Bullstein and fucking this, that, and other Goldstein.
Exactly. Because all this anti-Semitic bollocks is nothing to do with Jewish people. It's to do with nobody being allowed to criticize the cunts that are running Israel. That's what it is.
Yeah.
And George Soros and all that bollocks that all fucking follows all that shit. That's what it is. It's so that nobody can criticize Israel.
And fucking, she's one of them and all, you know. And I know this is probably going to ruin a few wanks for you, but she's one, that fucking Rachel Riley.
Yeah, but she's pregnant. She's pregnant.
Well, what does that make you want to fuck her more or less?
No, it means that it's just a shame that it's not mine.
Yeah, God, Jesus Christ. She's pregnant.
Hang on, we're talking about Jews and you say Jesus Christ.
Well, yeah, king of them. King of the fucking lot of them, I'll tell you.
Yeah. No, but yeah, no, but I mean, listen, when it comes to religion, the reason why I'm not anti-religion, because when you get kids that go to some kind of school that's got a religious name like St. Catherine's of whatever, they do tend to come up with better morals in life. However, I have got a big issue with Catholic nuns and all the rest of it, and you've only got to watch something like Philomena to get where I'm coming from. And then look at what they were doing with the Catholic priests. But when you look at all these different religions, you know, they've all got the Virgin, they've all got the Father, Son, and Holy Ghost, although they're called different things.
Holy Trinity.
The Holy Trinity, the three things. Nearly always the Spirit is symbolized by a dove, a white dove. Most of them have got the same number of disciples. Most of them have got a Sermon on the Hill. Most of them have got, actually, even in Islam, they've got Jesus Christ. You know?
Oh, yeah, Jesus is in Quran, yeah.
Yeah, that's right. And none of this is by accident. And it's, you know, and when you sort of look and you think, well, hang on a minute, all these book of stories are almost the same, and yet it's all used as an excuse to fight each other. What the fuck is that all about? And it's just when you get a religion or any religion that is hijacked, and they all have been and all been rewritten, and it's just there to divide and conquer. So you get these 13 families all sitting there, you know, like the gods looking down, thinking, yeah, look at them, all them fucking idiots, fighting amongst each other. Not just because of the sexuality, not just because of all these different labels, but because we all say it's about religion. Oh, and then we even change the word what religion means, and we change the meaning of anti-Semitic and all that. And it's just bollocks. I mean, people wake up, for God's sake. It's just bollocks.
Listen, I ain't got a problem with anybody that's got these beliefs.
No, me neither.
So I won't be, you know, telling them that I'm right and they're wrong.
No, not at all.
My opinion is that if there is a God, then I want a few fucking words with him. You know what I mean? I really want to have a few words with him and find out what this were for. That I've been having for these last few years. So you know,
what the fuck did you do wrong?
That's what I mean. I must have been rate cunt in my previous life. I said that to Heath. I think I was texting Heath the other day, and he said something like, "It's about time you got a break in it." And I said, "Oh well, I must have been a rate cunt in my last life because you know I just seem to get fucking shit and worse shit and fucking more shit. When you think it can't get any shitter, it dips it in shit. So." You know, it's if there is a God, and I'm not the sort of person that thinks there is one. I think that it's more of a collective thing, and that we're all God. We're all a God. We're a little part of God, or of a God, or whoever's fucking created him. But but you're right. It's used again. It's probably the most primitive form of compartmentalizing him,
And control.
compartmentalizing people in religion. And if you're in a place, and if you think about it, a civilization starts, and then these things start, and they become myths, and they become myths that get passed on from people to people to people. And each time it gets passed on, it gets changed just that little bit. And that's pretty much what it is. It's all the same. Like you said, it's the same story.
Yeah.
Pretty much the same story in every single one. It's just that people have got a different opinion of who's the hero in the book.
I actually remember when I was a kid. What would I probably? I used to be encouraged by right. Our next door neighbour used to have an organ. One of them proper organs that you bought in an organ shop. Right. No, before we had electronic keyboards, I mean a proper organ. And then at that time there was a program on TV called Stars on Sunday. And it was a religious program, and used to get people like, I don't know, was it Michael Bentine and whatever? And you used to always have a star.
Fucking Michael Bentine.
Yeah, was it Harry Seacombe? Harry Seacombe, wasn't it?
Harry Seacombe, yeah. You're thinking about Michael Bentine's potty time.
Yeah, and he'd be there singing in the church, doing all. And there'd always be a star, somebody who's famous, who'd be attending a church ceremony on a Sunday night, and they'd televise it, right? And it were live or nearly live or pre-recorded, but live-ish. Right.
What, just so they could cut swearing out?
Yeah, yeah. Right. But we used to laugh that the woman next door to us, whose name was Mrs. Janney, we used to live next door to the Janney family, Sarah Janney, Richard Janney, and I think his mum's name was Edith. I can't remember. She might even still be alive. She'd be in her 80s or even 90s now. But this organ that she had, you were only allowed to play hymns on it because she was dead religious. So I was always encouraged to go to the Methodist church with my next door neighbour, Mrs. Janney, on a Sunday, right? And foolishly, I was a kid, but I went. Now, my mum and her side of the family were all Catholic because they were all gypsies. So it was the kind of Roman Catholic side of it. But I guess there weren't a Catholic church near where we lived. So my mum shipping me off to the Methodist church on a Sunday morning was the closest she could get. And I remember going to school one day and my mate said, "Oh, what did you do over the weekend?" "I went to church." And he went, "So did I." "Oh, really? Which one did you go to? Because I didn't see you." And he went to a Catholic church. And I went, "Oh, what do Catholics believe?" And he told me. And I went, "Well, as far as I know, that's pretty much what they're telling us. So what's difference then?" And that was Methodist and Catholic. But in its absolute basic form, what are you doing, Jason?
Sorry. Sorry, go on, carry on.
That school kids would understand. We kind of both thought, well, hang on a minute, he's gone to a Catholic church and I've gone to a Methodist church. We're both being told the same fucking thing. These are supposed to be two different religions or whatever, but they're both the fucking same. What's going on here? Now, I know that they've got like the Mary and the mother and all. Well, I don't. I'm just kind of, because it's not my bag. And I can remember saying to him then, "But what's the difference?" And we decided that we didn't know. But we were probably about 10 or 11 years old, but we didn't know between us. We didn't know. And when I went back to Sunday school the week after, and I asked the guy who was supposedly a vicar, who I now understand was self-ordained, in other words, a bloke who'd read a book, that I wasn't to talk to this Catholic boy anymore. And that's the last time I went to fucking Sunday school.
Well, I went to Sunday school when I was in really young. I mean, below 10. So we'd say 8 or 9 or something. But I used to go to a Sunday school at the top of Endrow Road, which were a Catholic cathedral. Had been in Passbury. It was Sunday school, and we used to go there. And I only went for 5p mixed.
Yeah, me too. We used to get a 5p mix.
Yeah.
Bribery and corruption.
Yeah, there you go. That's what I'd go for. And I wouldn't take any notice at songs or all like that. It's weird, isn't it? And I ended. You know what? It goes completely round because for some reason I ended up getting community service. A few years ago, it must be 15 years ago or something. But I ended up getting community service, and I was painting that very building on the community service. There you go. See?
There you go. So there is a God.
Not on the register. Definitely not on the register.
Yeah. Well, yeah, as I've said before, is it by coincidence that most people in Thailand are Buddhist? There are some Muslims, especially the further north that you go, and actually the further west that you go as well. But chiefly they're Buddhist, but there are some Muslims, and I'm told some Christians as well. But the only reason you can tell the difference between the Buddhists and the Muslims is, of course, that the Muslim ladies cover their heads. Okay. But is it any wonder that most people in this big geographical area are Muslim? And then this big geographical area, they're Catholic. And then in this geographical area, they're Methodist. No, it's not a coincidence. Nobody pops out a mum and goes, woo, Catholic. No, your mum and dad teach you that. So it's all influenced by what's around you. And that's basically what religion is. It's you being influenced by, those around you. And I don't know about you, but my mum and dad told me about Father Christmas and the Tooth Fairy. So why the fucking hell should I believe them about God?
Well, mine didn't. My fuckers told me that fucking Father Christmas died in early fucking 70s. So, yeah, I know what you mean, though. Yeah, we do lie to each other, don't we? We do lie to us kids, and we say, "Don't tell a lie, otherwise Father Christmas won't bring you any presents." He's not bringing you any fucking presents anyway. But Santa, fucking good old Santa, who
He's watching.
Oh, you're always watching you all the time. I mean, that's sinister, isn't it? He's an old man with a white beard.
He'd be on pedo register, wouldn't he, if he were anywhere else?
Should be, shouldn't he, really? He's breaking into people's houses, leaving fucking shit behind. What if you don't want it?
And nicking mince pies.
Nicking mince pies and feeding it that. It's one of them fucking reindeers can fly at end up neat.
I tell you what, he should be done for drink driving and all.
Well, it should be, blowing over. Good old Santa Claus. Yeah, but there's many things though that we say. I mean, it doesn't even stop when you get older, does it?
No.
It's the same. So when you're young and you're told, you're told about the Tooth Fairy, you're told about Santa, and all these lies are fed to you. But that's just to condition you, so that when you get older, the lies that are more important, that are bigger, they'll tell you, and you'll fucking believe it because you see them as the authority figure. Whereas when you were a kid, you saw your mum and dad as the authority figures.
Yeah,
that's psychologically what they're trying to do.
And of course, when you go to school, you start, which is quite relevant because is it today or tomorrow the kids finish for half term or whatever? There's all these kids that go to school and they're taught that this is what time you got to be here. This is what time you got to go home. This is what time you can go for a piss. This is what time you can have something to eat. This is what time you can actually talk to each other. It's like, what? So it's nothing about educating you. It's about conditioning. And that's what education is. It's not education. And I think once you've taught kids maths and English, leave it alone. Because after that, the rest's fucking pointless. Because is science? Well, I don't know, is it? Let's ask Greta Thunberg or whatever her name is. Science is science, is it? Well, the science is settled, apparently.
Well, yeah, unlike my stomach.
Yeah, the science is settled.
Watching that fucking sanctimonious little twat tell people that they've nicked a childhood and all this sort of shit, and then there's kids actually that have had the childhood stolen from them because they're living in such shit conditions.
Yeah,
And
because of our government.
I wanted to. That's what I wanted to bring up as well. What you know, this I shared it on Facebook. You know that picture you sent me, that story in that newspaper about them
Oh
filling
yeah, that
reservoirs.
seeding clouds. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Um, I shared that on Facebook on a couple of these chemtrail sites and stuff like that. And it got loads of shares. I think it ended up getting about 100 shares. You know, so loads of people see it. And I thought about it, and I thought to myself, so they're doing that. Why? They can do that. It's there. It's admitted. That's what they do. It's in the paper. I even had a look on the website, and they've got a website for the Department of Weather and something or other or whatever.
Yeah, yeah.
And if they can do that, why are we having droughts in Africa? Why don't they just cloud seed?
Exactly.
So so in Africa, they get the rain, they get as much rain as they can, then they can grow things and they can make. Why do they not do that? Why is it?
I know what it is. Because Bono once said we can do it.
Oh, fuck Bono, fucking stupid little cunt.
For anybody who's not sure what we're talking about, yeah, no. When I went, I'm just going to fill people in with a bit of detail. When I went to Thailand, my first few days there, first 5 days I think it is, I went to Phuket. I'm told there's a TV program on at the minute, which is Airport Thailand something or whatever that you can see. And that's Phuket Airport, which is on the west side of Phuket. It's an island on the west side of Thailand, somewhere I'd not been before. And I went and I ordered a coffee, and there was a newspaper in English. And on I can't remember what page it was, and I don't normally read newspapers at all, but I did. And there was this article, and it was about how the Thai government had paid a cloud seeding company to seed the clouds above the reservoirs around in Thailand so that they could fill the reservoirs up with fresh water for use during the dry season. Because in Thailand, there's 2 seasons. Very warm and wet, or fucking hot and dry. Right. They're the 2 seasons that they have. So during the what they call the rainy season, they wanted this rain to fall in a certain area, and so they were seeding. And this is the article that Jason's talking about, because I took a picture of it on my phone and I sent it on a WhatsApp to you, didn't I? And it was about basically saying, even though they seeded the clouds, it wasn't as successful as they wanted it to be, so there was still shortage of water. But it's openly saying, we're seeding clouds, et cetera, et cetera. The reason why that caption that you've just put up is really funny is because a lot of the bar girls, bar girl is another word for prostitute in Thailand. A lot of the bar girls are called Apple.
Oh, right, okay.
Which is why that's very funny. Anyway, so yeah, and that's the article that I sent Jason. So sorry, now I was just giving a bit of background really to that.
Yeah, but it does beg the question. I mean, why are they not doing this? Why is nobody asking this question? Why don't we? They've got a problem in Africa. They don't get enough rainfall to be able to cultivate crops adequately, sufficiently, and cloud seed in certain areas, like you've said, like they did in Phuket.
Yeah.
Why don't they not do it?
Well, I mean, didn't they say that? What year was Woodstock? Was it 69? 69 was it Woodstock? Something like that, wasn't it? I mean, I would be merely a tiny, tiny child because I was born in 66. I think you were born in 68. No, when were you born, Jason?
70.
70. So you were merely a stain at that point then. When Woodstock was on, but they said that they thought that the clouds were seeded, and that was at Woodstock. And that was in like late 60s. So we know this happens, and we know it goes on. But like you say, why don't they do it in Africa? And the reason is because there's an agenda. And the agenda is 13 families own the fucking lot. You can get them all in one room, which they do once a year. It's called the Bilderberg meeting. And unless they say it can happen, it ain't going to happen. And if it ain't going to happen, it's for a damn good reason. Because thinking to yourself, they wouldn't do that, would they? Well, you wouldn't do that, and I wouldn't do that, and Jason wouldn't do that. But they're fucking psychopaths. They'd do anything to make sure that we had nothing and they had everything, including life.
Sorry, I'm just replying to Taylor. He's asking to come on. I'm just saying not tonight, youth. Because,
How long have we been on now? Quite a while, haven't we?
Been on about an hour and 20 minutes, I think. Yeah, so fucking, where were we? Someone said build a bear aid. I don't know what that means. What does that mean?
Build a bear?
Are you talking about Bilderberg? Apple. By the way, look at Apple. Look at if that's a picture of you, Apple. Damn.
Listen, if that's a picture of Apple, hello.
Yeah, hello there. You fool.
Yeah, listen, it's just like one of them chat room things. Really, it's a fat bloke who likes eating pizza and Haribo.
And his mum's lemonade.
Yeah. And he still lives at home with his mum, even though he's 44.
Yeah, Uni and Leeds have both been asking to come on, but we'll get them on another night because I think we're sort of winding down now anyway.
Yeah.
Only got a few more things to talk about. I've written things down and it's fucking. Let me just have a look at what some of these stuff I've been writing down. You see, I've got so many bits of paper that I look at them and they're from fucking. Do
you know the most common thought that I have is, do people really fucking believe this shit? And it's every time. Yeah, I mean, like, I'll have the radio on in the car just because, it's noise in the car. And inevitably at some point the news is going to be on. And it doesn't matter what they're talking about. I find myself saying, do people really fucking believe this shit? Do people really, really believe this shit? And, the thing for me that really gives it away is when the BBC say they have to have both sides of the argument on.
Oh, fuck off.
They don't. Because inevitably, it boils down to money. It doesn't matter what the subject, it almost inevitably boils down to money. And they will never, ever, ever talk about fractional reserve lending. They'll never do it. I send an email once a week on a Monday morning to the editor of The Economist, asking when they're going to do an article, which I'm happy to write for them, on fractional reserve lending, and I never get a reply. Because if ever they did,
Economist.
Yeah, The Economist magazine. If ever they did an article in The Economist on fractional reserve lending, all of a sudden everybody would stop fucking buying the paper. And they'd stop reading the website because they'd realise it's all fucking irrelevant. So they're never going to do it. And I never get a reply, and I never expect to. But every week I send the same email asking when they're going to do it, and I never get a reply. Because you're not going to get a reply to anything like that.
Economist, for fuck's sake. Jesus Christ. I think they advertise themselves as if you want to know what's going on, you want to get both sides, go to The Economist. It's not going to be both sides.
No, of course it isn't, because all they ever talk about is two sides of the same argument, which is all based on an assumption that money is actually not brought into existence by debt. And that's the only way that money is actually created, as debt. And it's like all the time that I worked in finance. You're left to assume that money is actually a positive thing. And that's the big assumption. And, there are people with God knows how many different qualifications and all the stuff that I did. And actually, once you realize that it's bollocks, it's just bollocks. It's just bollocks. Because money is only ever brought into existence as a debt.
Yeah, we know, yeah.
And the countries that haven't got that will have soon, because you can guarantee that the Americans and the English are going to wage a war there to make sure that we do get that Rothschild banking system in place. And that's why they do it. It's fuck all to do with weapons of mass destruction, 9/11, who fucking flew a plane into something. It's nothing to do with any of that shit. It's just about money. That's all it is. It's just all it is.
Yeah, of course it is. Yeah, it is all about money and control and power and stuff.
Yeah.
If you lose control, you lose your money, essentially, won't you? So
I had a really good analogy today. I heard something. Well, I was listening to what was it on? Oh, the Geordie podcasts. Have you heard any of them? Some of them are really good. Just bear with me 2 seconds. True Geordie podcast. That's it.
All right. No, I've not heard of them. No.
I mean, they've had Robbie Williams on, which I've not listened to that one, but they've had lots and lots of really good. I mean, they have David Icke on. They've had who was the guy who was the ecstasy kingpin who spent about 6 years in prison? British guy from like Bolton or Manchester or somewhere. I forget his name. They had him on. Anyway, they do some really good podcasts, and they had a 3 or 4 hour thing on with David Icke. And again, David Icke said, "Imagine you've got the shepherd who's got his big stick, and his sheepdog and the sheep, and the sheep are all walking in one direction, all following each other, because they're scared of what the shepherd will tell the sheepdog to do. Well, imagine if all of a sudden all of them just said, 'Fuck off,' and they all just ran in different directions. What's the sheepdog and the shepherd going to do then? What are they going to do? Nothing. Because the minute we all start to go, actually, you're not the fucking boss of us, and we're not scared of you anymore, that's when it all changes, and that's what we need.
No, of course we do. We're already there. We're sort of like waiting for other people to catch up.
We're just waiting for everybody to catch up.
Yeah, and I know that we're all stood here. Wait, we're stood here. Fucking stood here.
Well, we'd love to be.
We're all sat here. I've not fucking stood for months. We're all sat here waiting. But you can't force people to know it. But more and more they are. They've got to be. They can't just think that this is real. What's going on in fucking Paris? Is it ever? It keeps going on and on and on and on. 40-odd weeks, and they don't know fucking coverage whatsoever in this country. It's going off in Catalonia as well. It's all over the place.
Yeah,
and it's not being reported on.
As any of the stuff, I mean, I literally don't watch it, but has any of the stuff in Hong Kong hit the news?
Oh yeah, the Hong Kong one does. Yeah, sometimes I've seen that on news.
Yeah. And did you see the excuse they used for that one? About what? And basically what they've done is, in about 2040, I think it is, it's agreed that the people of Hong Kong will then have to abide by all the same rules as the rest of China. But until then, they can be relatively free to do and say and live a relatively free life. And all this kicking off in Hong Kong, apparently, is because they found some reason to say, actually, no, we're going to bring that all forward, and you can't do that, and you can't do this. So all the people of Hong Kong are kicking off because, hang on a minute, we don't want to live under this fascist state like they've got in China. We're not having that. We're still in this transition period until 2040, and that's what they're all kicking off about.
Right.
But, tearing down 5G masts and whatever. Good for them.
Yeah, it's all direct action.
Yeah.
That's what is needed. That's the only way, because you can't do anything.
No.
Protesting is a fucking waste of time, a
Yeah.
complete
Waste of time. As I've
waste.
said many times, when you protest, they just look out the window and go, look, they're asking for permission again.
Yeah.
They don't care what you're asking for permission to do. But
Well, even if you're telling them to fucking not do something, they still end up fucking doing it.
yeah, of course they do. I mean, just look at,
Iraq
hello.
War.
Yeah.
The Iraq War, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Iraq War, a million people, I think there were about 2 million in them, weren't they, marched against the Iraq War and still went.
It still happened. Yeah.
Tony Blair still went, just fuck you. What do I give a fuck about? I've got fucking such a big majority in
Yeah.
House of Commons that I can do basically what the fuck I want.
And then when Andrew Marr interviewed him and he said, so, Mr. Blair, how do you feel about 2 million defenseless women and children dying in the Iraq War when you said there were weapons of mass destruction and there weren't? And he said, oh, Andrew, I think you'll find it was only 200,000. And that just shows you what sort of fucking, like, that makes it all right. Like what sort of fucking psychopaths they are. Because you and I wouldn't do that, and everybody listening to this probably wouldn't do it. But they fucking do. Not that they would. They do it. They do it.
Yeah.
That's what they do. They do it. You know, and Syria and all the fucking places. You know, and they're just waging war. And the reason they wage war is so that they can get this Rothschild banking system in place. And that's why they do it. And, you know, who is the biggest drug dealer in the world?
Oh, the CIA, aren't they?
Yeah, the CIA and the Clinton organization. Yeah.
Yeah.
In history, who was the biggest by far makes Escobar look like some fucking puppet. Who was the by far biggest drug dealer in the world ever? Fucking Queen Victoria.
All right, okay.
What you know, all the opium and all that lot that's sent over to India and you know, people look at it and they go, hang on a minute, why won't I taught that in history at school? Oh, I wonder why. Because you're not supposed to know that bit.
No.
But, you know, they make Escobar and that look like fucking puppets. Like idiots that couldn't do anything. You know, this is the guy that was burying millions and millions of dollars a day. A fucking day.
Yeah, Pablo Escobar.
Yeah.
Yeah,
you know, and if you look
CIA, he was CIA. They were. He was doing business with the CIA.
Yeah.
And the CIA then turned on him, and that was it. And he ended up in prison.
Yeah, and when they have the war on drugs, no, it's just the war on the opposition. That's all that is.
Yeah, of course it is.
That's all it is. It's just a way of getting rid of the opposition, so that the Clinton Foundation can carry on doing what they've been doing for fucking decades. You know, why else would an ugly bitch who can't even win a fucking election when it should have been? Oh, what was the guy who won all the? What was his name? They put Hillary forward as the candidate when he'd won them all.
Oh, Bernie Sanders.
Bernie Sanders, that's it. You know, Bernie had won every fucking one, yet they still put her forward. Why would she stick with her husband who felt like it was fun to stick his cock in the mouth of a fat bird? Why would she stick with him? Well, I'll tell you why she'd stick with him, because of all the fucking drug running that they do. And I'm sat here, you know, people know who I am. It's not hard to find out who I am, and the authorities can come and knock on my door if they think I'm wrong. But they won't. Because if they arrest me for shit like this, they'll have to go to court and somebody will have to answer and prove that that's not happening. And I fucking know it is. So they can piss off.
And you know, they spent around about, I think it's something ridiculous, like 20 times the amount of money on discovering whether Bill Clinton had been noshed off by this fat bird than they did for the 9/11 inquiry.
I'll give you the numbers. The original amount they put in for the 9/11 inquiry was $3 million. I think after begging and pleading, they got either a total of 12 or an extra 12, which might have took it to 15 million. But the number for the Clinton inquiry was 30 million.
Right.
So the fucking biggest day in history of any country in the world where so-called terrorism had happened, right? You would think they'd be fucking climbing over themselves to start some kind of deep fucking what went on here? What the fuck went up? No, they didn't do that. They tried to stop having an inquiry for weeks and months. Months. They tried to stop it, and then they give it this budget of 3 million quid, a fucking tenth of what they had to see if this fat bird was going to nosh off fucking Clinton.
Yeah.
And if that doesn't tell you, it's just fucking unbelievable.
That tells you everything you need to know.
Of course
It means that you know that means that where Clinton shoves his dick is more important than 3,000 people being killed. You know, and it were going to be a whitewash anyway. All these inquiries are. We know the whitewashers all the fucking time. You know, the child sex abuse inquiry that's supposedly going on at the moment. Don't hear all about it. It's because there's too much stuff going on, and the stuff that's going on, right, and the stuff that's hogging the headlines is shit that don't really fucking matter. It's like in football now we've got this thing where every single time there's racism. They're just pushing it. That there's a problem with racism in this country with football. Well, in football in general, because there was the incidents where England played a match in Bulgaria, and they were racially abusing some of England's black players, and I think the UEFA have got this thing in place where it's 3 steps, and then you end up walking off a pitch. They've gone on to step 2, and they've not gone to step 3, and so it happened just before half time. So half time gave everyone a chance to calm down, and went out again and did second half, and yada yada yada. So this were a big thing. I mean, the Bulgarian football manager ended up losing his job for it. The sports minister ended up losing his job for it. The prime minister, I think, nearly lost his job over this incident. So it's like being hyper blown out of proportion. And then we had on Saturday, there were a game between a non-league game between Haringey. It were an FA Cup qualifier between Haringey and Yeovil Town. Both these clubs, the non-league clubs, and I think it was at Haringey, and it was at Yeovil. But anyway, there was some racial abuse, and one of the teams walked off. In fact, it was Haringey that walked off and said, "We're not taking this," and they walked off, and the match had to be abandoned. So it's just everywhere. It's been blown up out of proportion. That it's some problem, and I don't see it as the problem that they're trying to portray it as. You know, I don't know whether they're trying to encourage people to be racist, because when you've got racism, you've got two sides. You can be a victim on both sides. You can say, I can't say fucking anything because I'm white, and the black guy can say, well, you know, someone's abusing me because of the colour of my skin. So it brings victims on both sides.
The best analogy I've ever heard, and it's another Ike thing, and he said this, he said, imagine you've got 2 men actually in space. Let's assume we can actually get there, right? And one's wearing a black spacesuit, and the other one's wearing a white spacesuit. And then another guy appears in a white spacesuit. So there's 2 white spacesuits and 1 black spacesuit. And the 2 guys in the white spacesuit say something bad about the guy in the black spacesuit and say, is it because you was black? And that's how ridiculous it is. Because I don't care what colour you are, or even religion, it doesn't matter. But if what you're doing or what you inherently believe is bad, like it causes violence or whatever, then I don't dislike you because of what you are. Because of what you look like. It's because of what you are and what you're doing. In other words, if you're a cunt, you're a cunt. And it's nothing to do with are you black, are you white, are you whatever.
I've just put Apple Charlotte up on screen again.
Apple Charlotte. I think I'm in love with Apple Charlotte.
You're in love with the idea of Apple Charlotte. But anyway, she's put a link in the chat room. It's here's the link if anybody else wants
Apple
to
Charlotte is really called Brian.
You what? Say that again?
I'd love to know what Apple Charlotte's real name is. Is it Brian?
Well, it'll be something like Jeffrey or Benny.
Yeah, Benny.
Don't you think, Benny? You remember? See, we were talking about this before, weren't we? Things. This is why this show has been called the Rubber Johnny Show. Because today I just got all giddy all about it, and I just sat there laughing to myself about just Rubber Johnny, and I was thinking about other things and I mentioned to you, didn't I, before? Snickers has now gone back to marathons.
See, I didn't know that. I didn't know that.
Did you not know that?
No, I didn't. I mean, believe it or not, I don't really eat a lot of chocolate.
Well, I don't, but my missus does. I saw it somewhere and I thought, well, that's good. Yeah, so we can have Spangles back and 5p mixers.
Yeah, can we have space dust? You know that stuff that give you the shits, but used to like snap and crackle on your tongue. Space dust. That's the one.
Oh yeah.
Spangles. What was the other one? Sherbet dip. No, like a sherbet. Kaylie. No, like a sherbet. Yeah, but difference between Kaylie and a sherbet dip. A sherbet dip, you got a lolly to dip it in. Kaylie, you had to do it with your finger.
Yeah. But there were them where they had that little stick thing.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, but that come later. That.
Yeah.
Licorice stick thing, sherbet dip.
No, not the liquid. No, on the on the ones where it had two, it'd have a red and a yellow.
Yeah.
And then at side of it, it'd have like a thing made out of similar sort of thing to it. It'd be like if you imagine a lollipop made out of stuff that's got the same texture as a rennet.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, I know what you mean. And it was like a bag, but it had got two compartments in it.
Yeah.
And you could actually perforate it and tear it in half if you wanted. But I never did. I never tore it in half, mine.
Well, I didn't know that you could do that until tonight, and I think that's probably one of my biggest regrets.
Not being able to know that it was perforated and you could actually tear it in half. That's terrible. Oh, Jason.
I didn't know honestly. There were many a night when, I'd be sat up because I had a telly in my bedroom at a really young age. I must have been about 8 or something. And I do remember I'd have my shirt. Mum and Dad had gone out and left us with babysitter, Mr. Saville, who and I'd be in my bedroom eating me Kaylie or my sherbet or something and watching 3 to 1. Remember that?
I can't do. How do you do that?
I don't do it. I'm just doing that.
With what was his name?
Yeah.
What was his name?
Ted Summit.
Ted.
Oh, fucking hell. Someone put it in chat box, please.
It wasn't Ted Bovis, because Ted Bovis was, what's his name, weren't he? In IDI.
Yeah. He lived in Maltby, didn't he?
He did, yeah. Nice bloke, actually. He bought me a beer one night.
Oh, what's his name? 3, 2, 1. Come on, anybody.
Ted Rogers with a D. Rogers.
Ted Rogers, yeah. I wonder if I've got it on here. I had a bin and I fucking I had a bin burnt out and I took a picture on it, and then because it looked like Dusty Bin had fallen on hard times. Like, because one of them bins that had been, where you burn stuff in, and it was completely rusted and fucked and everything, and it was just like down, and I put a face on it, and it looked like I'm going to try and find that picture. Yeah, fucking Dusty Bin. dusting bin falling on hard times. But again, I saw a bloke who looked exactly like Paul Daniels after he died.
Oh,
I said, there you go, he's faking his own
did
death.
you know? Did you know? Here's one for you. You know Mother Shipton's Cave, which is like, you see the signpost for it when you go up the A1, past sort of Weatherby and all that lot. Paul Daniels actually bought that attraction, and it's a petrifying well, Mother Shipton's Cave. And basically, you would hang, say, a slipper or something up, and all the calcifying water runs through it, and in a matter of a few weeks, it actually preserves it in what becomes a stone. It's calcified. Mother Shipton's Cave, and Paul Daniels apparently owned that place. He bought it, apparently. God, there's so much useless shit going on in here, man. I fucking tell you. I don't know where it. I don't just.
Well, you see, if somebody asked me how many people knew that, I'd say not a lot.
Not a lot.
And that's magic.
That's magic, yeah. Yeah. No, there was something else I wanted to say about. And it was very deep and meaningful too.
Oh, come on, man! You've got to get it up.
Do you know? I like going on holiday, and that's because it's the escapism, isn't it?
Yeah.
And the problem that I've got with this world that we all kind of live in is that what we're presented with is not the truth. And that in itself says a lot, because if the so-called people in control, the powers or whatever, were doing right by us, they would be able to tell us the truth. And a good way of knowing that they don't tell us the truth is just the word understand. When they say you've got the right to remain silent, yada, 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 do you understand? They're not asking, do you understand? It's, do you stand under? So even with something as basic as that, if they've got to lie to us to get us to say something, that tells you the whole fucking system is just corrupt shit. And because of that, the escapism of being able to jump on a plane and go 6,000 miles away and escape all that, that's why it's attractive. And, madness is spending 50 weeks a year running around on a fucking treadmill like a hamster, so that after 30 years, somebody can give you a gold watch and throw you on a fucking scrap heap. That's madness. And yet, when I say to somebody, have you ever thought about, or do you know about fractional reserve lending? And they go, oh, you're one of them conspiracy theories, aren't you? You must be mad. They're the people who basically are the ones who are on this treadmill, and they are the hamsters, and they are doing 50 weeks a year and then jetting off somewhere for 2 weeks a year's escapism. They're the people that are doing that. And they're the ones who call us for being crazy. Yet they're the ones doing crazy things. Because the whole thing is fucking upside down. Absolutely upside down.
Completely upside down, mate. Completely upside down. It's I've got to say, it's quite funny to watch, particularly on social media and stuff like that. It is funny. We had this. People are so easily fucking triggered. And did you hear about this thing that were in Essex yesterday? They found 39 bodies, Chinese bodies.
Oh yeah, in a fridge box, in a fridge trailer. Yeah.
These people are so desperate that they'll risk their lives, and probably the lives of some of the children as well.
Yeah.
To come here, when really, I mean, come on, for fuck's sake! If everywhere were inhabitable and it were all run properly and correctly, then there'd be no need for anybody to come anywhere, would there?
No, they wouldn't. No, they wouldn't.
It's just totally sad. I mean, it just makes me fucking.
Yeah, yeah. And when you've got people who are willing to risk that sort of desperation, isn't it? And to believe that that grass really is greener, and maybe it is, I don't know. But to believe the hype and to be desperate enough to try to leave somewhere and get somewhere else, when actually if they understood that it's the same 13 families in their country who own all this shit in this country as well, and that really countries aren't countries, they're just a line drawn on a map. And I mean, how long is Israel been called Israel? Since just after the Second World War.
1948.
You know, how long has Palestine been called Palestine? Since
no, time immemorial.
Yeah, but then you start talking about Iran and Iraq and Turkey, and if you look at that, where all these countries join, you know, they then say, oh well, you know, we've got these terrorists and they're all part of this group. No, they all used to be in one fucking country till you redrew all the fucking maps and put different political lines on maps. You know, not why do countries change names? Why do countries change names? For political reasons, so that we don't realize that it's the same shit going on in the same place. You know, that's why they change the names. You look at a globe from even 50 years ago, 60 years ago, not hundreds and hundreds of years ago, but just like, you know, a few decades ago, don't look anything like what we've got now. The names are all different.
Yeah.
You know, it's like Persia. Can you remember the guy who was the manager at the nightclub where you and I used to work? I can't remember his name. Great, nice guy.
Phallus.
You what, sorry?
Phallus.
Yeah, no, not Philos. The one who came after him, because he was Greek, wasn't he? The guy who came after that, and he used to say, "Oh, where are your family from?" And he would say Persia. He wouldn't say Iran. He would say, "My family's from Persia." Because when he was born, it was called Persia. The part where he was from was called Persia.
Yeah, yeah.
So he would never say it's Iraq or it's Iran or what. He would say, "No, my family's Persian." And you know, this isn't a guy who was 95 years old. This guy was in his 40s. You know, and he recognized, no, I'm from a place called Persia. The fact that all the politicians have changed the fucking name to protect the guilty is irrelevant. I'm from Persia. Because that's how he classed himself. He's Persian. You know, so you don't have to go very far back. And why do politicians do that? To cover up the fucking bloodbaths that they cause. That's why they do it. Bunch of fucking crooks. But the politicians think they're in charge of something, but you're not. You know, it's like all these wankers who work in fucking Westminster. 650 useless tossers. If they really were in charge of anything, would this Brexit bollocks have gone on this long? Would it fuck? Because they're not in charge of anything. They're just allowed to think they are by the powers that be, so that they can just manipulate it and just whitewash the whole bloody thing. That's all it is. And on that happy note, we need a positive, Jason.
Sorry, mate. I need a what?
We need a positive.
Well, fucking plenty of positives. We're all good, aren't we? I'm just getting some morphine. I've just started coming on again. I'll get morphined up a bit. Yeah, positive. It is positive. We're positive.
All we need to do, mate, is just keep telling people. You know, this is what's really going on in this world. And I do you know what amazes me? And I mean this in the most. Leeds. I love you to bits, man. And I know he would be the first to admit that he's not the most intelligent guy on the planet. I know that because I've spoken to him. But he's got an open fucking mind, and the guy listens, and he takes on board the bits that he wants to take on board, and he discounts the things that he doesn't want to think about. He's got an open mind, and he actually sees what's going on in the world. But he's a man who's had his own issues with life, his own mental issues, his own issues with substances and liquids and stuff. And he's been the first to be really, really frank and admit that. And for that, I completely admire him. But the thing I admire about him the most is, you know, he's clearly not some fucking doctor or brain surgeon or whatever. But isn't that a damn good reference to what actually makes somebody intelligent and what actually makes somebody just a puppet? And that you get these people who've got the letters after the name, but they think the fucking world is exactly as it's presented on the BBC. Yet you see a man who, if you actually put him up against all these doctors and, you know, all these professors and whatever, who would be seen as somebody who's almost irrelevant, is actually the guy who can see what's going on. You know, and that's what the world's about. It's about real people. That's what it's about. It's about real people. And people who can actually see what's going on. Not just the people who want to, you know, say, oh, don't worry about me because I've got my £500 million mortgage and it's nearly paid off and I'll be fine. No, you fucking won't, because they're coming for you next.
Mm-hmm. And they'll come for everybody, but, you know, whenever we're talking, when we can, we will be doing that, won't we? We'll be getting on.
Yeah, you know, and please don't think that I'm offending Leeds in any way at all, because I absolutely am not. Exactly the opposite. You know, I'm Leeds, if you're listening, man, I'm singing your praises, because, you know, I don't think you've got any letters after your name and that's fucking good. You know, because you've not been indoctrinated, or if you were, you've seen through it, and good for you. Good for you.
Well, he's listened to this show, and I think he's probably the person that's listened to more shows than anybody else.
Yeah.
Over years, and I was talking other day, to Ada, not Ada. Fucking hell, what's that other one called? Him who used to be where you are, Andy.
Andy, yeah.
Yeah, we were talking about Andy, and just. Do you know? I just think that that's probably one of the things that really bugs me is that we just didn't have any. There were no ending. There were no closure. You know, it was left dangling there. And,
sorry.
we're going to do shows whenever we can, aren't we? Whenever we can. I'm in a lot of pain a lot of time, and I've just started to get it now. So I'm not. Regina I am says death is not to be afraid of, and no, you're right. I'm not afraid of it at all, and it keeps fucking following me around. Fucking bastard, fucking stalker. So listen, everybody has these things. Your mind is. You've got to look after your mind. That's what you've got to do, and you've got to remember that even if you are doing things and you know, doing weed or drinking too much, because I believe me, I've been fucking there when I've been drinking too much. In fact, I don't even think I've ever come out of it. So yeah, exactly. So you've got to, but the one thing you've really got to do is really got to keep on your mind, keep on it and on your mind, and make sure you're analysing what your thought patterns are, and is there anything that's might be a bit odd in there, and you can honestly, you can, when you do, and you think about things and you think, well, perhaps I'm doing this, I'm doing that, and I can change this, I can change that. It really does help.
Do you know the two words that have helped me and that have probably been the most helpful since I sort of realised what was going on is who benefits. So when I look at anything, whether it's on the news or whether it's something presented, is who benefits from me believing what I'm being told? Who benefits from that?
Well, everyone benefits from that.
You are, sorry?
everyone benefits from that. The newsreader that's getting paid 300,000 quid a year to sit and talk, don't know what they need. He benefits, and people above him, the television companies, they benefit, and then the people above the advertisers, and this, so they all benefit, but people benefit more and more. It's breaking that chain of people, because there's so many people in that who benefit from it that you've got to remove that chain, that link.
Yep, completely.
And things like this, people don't like us talking. That's part of it. That's part of breaking one of them chains. We're not paying.
You know, it's when they say, I've had my platform demonetized. Well, they can't fucking demonetize us because they never made them fucking money out of it. Because they never monetized anything. So, lose the fear. For fuck's sake, lose the fear. The only thing that you shouldn't be scared of is fear. Because we spend all our lives worrying about shit that's probably not going to happen. And the stuff that we ought to be worried about is stuff that we don't even know and just hits you a million miles an hour from side on. And sometimes quite literally, when I ran into that bus on a motorbike and I nearly lost my leg. And the stuff that you've been through, Jason, it's fucking bang and it hits you. There's no time to worry about it because it just fucking hits you sideways. And all the time we spend worrying about other stuff is irrelevant, because if we've got time to worry about it, it's probably not going to happen.
Yeah, you're probably right.
So, look, Anyway, look, folks, guys, this is nothing more than two bald blokes ranting and having a chat, really. And we're just honoured that you share this with us, and some of you like what we say or listen to what we say or probably scream at the screen saying that we're wrong, but that's fine too, because we're all supposed to have our own opinions, and that's what's probably the most important. But, that's what it's all about, guys. That's what it is. It
is. Right. Well, let's thank you, everyone, for listening. Give us a like if you want to. That'd be nice. Nice thumbs up would be nice. Super Leeds, yes. I hope your team's not on form on Saturday because they're playing mine. So,
do you know all that fucking shit that I give about Leeds and saying how wonderful he was, and what he comes back with is a reply about football? Fucking top man.
Anyway, thanks for listening to us tonight, and we'll see you again I can't tell you when, because I just don't know. But I will let you know in advance. So thanks for listening. Thanks for joining in chat, everybody, and thanks to Eddie as well. We'll see you later.
Take it easy, guys.